So good evening. Trying to get set up here. Here we go. There's my screen. I just have to share it. And it's time to understand what's really going on because so many people just don't know anything. And that always amazes me. So here we go. On June 23rd, the United States Department of Education, Special Education and Rehabilitative Services wrote Honorable Richard Whitley, Director of Nevada Department of Health and Human Services. Okay, so we're going to select all this text because, hey, it's just real. I'm just confused and begin to read so we all know what's happening and then maybe we can have a discussion because I haven't read the letter yet. I thought I'd share with you.
United States Department of Education Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, June 23, 2020. Honorable Richard Whitley, Director, Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, 4126 Technology Way, Carson City, Nevada, 89760. Dear Director Whitley, I am writing to advise you of the U.S. Department of Education's Department 2020 determination under Sections 616 and 642 of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. The department has determined that Nevada needs assistance in meeting the requirements of Part 100 of the IDEA. This determination is based on the totality of the state's data and information, including the Federal Fiscal Year, FFY 2018 State Performance Plan Annual Performance Report, SPPAPR, other state reported data, and other publicly available information. Your state's 2020 determination is based on the data reflected in the state's 2020 Part 100 Results-Driven Accountability Matrix, RDA Matrix. The RDA matrix is individualized for each state and consists of 1. A compliance matrix that includes scoring on compliance indicators and other compliance factors, 2. Results components and appendices that include scoring on results elements, 3. A compliance score and a results score, 4. An RDA percentage based on both the compliance score and the results score, and 5. The state's determination. The RDA matrix is further explained in a document entitled, How the Department Made Determinations under Sections 616D and 642 of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act in 2020, Part 100, HTDMD. The Office of Special Education Programs, OSEP, is continuing to use both results data and compliance data in making the department's determinations in 2020, as it did for the Part 100 determinations in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. The specifics of the determination procedures and criteria are set forth in the HTDMD and reflected in the RDA matrix for your state. For 2020, the department's IDEA Part 100 determinations continue to include consideration 400 Maryland Avenue SW, Washington District of Columbia, 20202-2600, www.ed.gov. The Department of Education's mission is to promote student achievement and preparation for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access. Page 2. Lead agency director of each state's child outcomes data, which measure how children who receive Part 100 services are improving functioning in 3 outcome areas that are critical to school readiness: positive social-emotional skills, acquisition and use of knowledge and skills, including early language communication, and use of appropriate behaviors to meet their needs. Specifically, the department considered the data quality and the child performance levels in each state's child outcomes FFY 2018 data. You may access the results of OSEP's review of your state's SPPAPR and other relevant data by accessing the MAPS SPPAPR reporting tool using your state-specific logon information at https://emaps.ed.gov/suite/. When you access your state's SPPAPR on the site, you will find, in indicators 1 through 10, The OSCP responds to the indicator and any actions that the state is required to take. The actions that the state is required to take are in two places. 1. Actions related to the correction of findings of non-compliance are in the OSCP response section of the indicator, and 2. Any other actions that the state is required to take are in the required actions section of the indicator. It is important for you to review the introduction to the SPP APR, which may also include language in the OSCP response and/or required actions sections. You will also find all of the following important documents saved as attachments: 1. The state's RDA matrix, 2. The HDD-MD document, 3. A spreadsheet entitled 2020 Data Rubric Part 100, which shows how OSCP calculated the state's timely and accurate state-reported data score in the compliance matrix, and 4. A document entitled Dispute Resolution 2018-2019, which includes the IDEA Section 618 data that OSCP used to calculate the state's timely state complaint decisions and timely due process hearing decisions scores in the compliance matrix. As noted above, the state's 2020 determination is needs assistance. A state's 2020 RDA determination is needs assistance if the RDA percentage is at least 60% but less than 80%. A state would also be needs assistance if its RDA determination percentage is 80% or above, but the department has imposed special or specific conditions on the state's last 3 IDEA Part 100 grant awards for FFYs 2017, 2018, and 2019. And those specific conditions are in effect at the time of the 2020 determination. States were required to submit Phase 3 Year 4 of the SSIP by April 1, 2020. OSCP appreciates the state's ongoing work on its SSIP and its efforts to improve results for infants and toddlers with disabilities and their families. We have carefully reviewed and responded to your submission and will provide additional feedback in the upcoming weeks. Additionally, OSCP will continue to work with your state as it implements the 5th year of Phase 3 of the SSIP, which is due on April 1, 2021. Page 3, Lead Agency Director. As a reminder, your state must report annually to the public by posting on the state lead agency's website on the performance of each Early Intervention Service (EIS) program located in the state on the targets in the SPP APR as soon as practicable, but no later than 120 days after the state submission of its FFY 2018 SPP APR. In addition, your state must 1. Review EIS program performance against targets in the state's SPP APR. 2. Determine if each EIS program meets the requirements of Part 100, or needs assistance, needs intervention, or needs substantial intervention in implementing Part 100 of the IDEA. 3. Take appropriate enforcement action, and 4. Inform each EIS program of its determination. Further, your state must make its SPP APR available to the public by posting it on the state lead agency's website. Within the upcoming weeks, OSCP will be finalizing a state profile that 1. Includes the state's determination letter and SPP APR, OSCP attachments, and all state attachments that are accessible in accordance with Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and 2. Will be accessible to the public via the ed.gov website. OSCP appreciates the state's efforts to improve results for infants and toddlers with disabilities and their families and looks forward to working with your state over the next year as we continue our important work of improving the lives of children with disabilities and their families. Please contact your OSCP state lead if you have any questions, would like to discuss this further, or want to request technical assistance. Sincerely, Lori Vanderploeg, Director, Office of Special Education Programs, CC, State Part 100 Coordinator.
So I can promise you that Nevada doesn't have this data. Otherwise, they would have already produced it. And there's some other things that I'm concerned about. Wait, I'll have to stop the share first. Concerned about. Because it's 2022. And across this nation, my people have not managed to talk about the support for the children receiving public services nationwide. No city, town, or state, no conversations in regards to the mandatory public services that should be provided to all the children. And I do mean all the children. I talk to so many people, but yet and still there are people that believe that maybe I don't understand what I'm doing, or maybe I don't understand what is happening in America. But I promise you, across this nation, anytime you are operating public services, and these are public services, see, looking beyond the Michael Brown incident, when Michael Brown died, and then looking at the Department of Justice investigation into all the traffic related, all the tickets and everything. I mean, America just has a harvest going on for so many people. And our people have been harvested because we've always been harvested. And that's just a real reality. I don't have to pretend that that's not going on. What I need to understand is why. Why is it that when our people make it, they make it and they leave behind the rest of the world? Because they don't have to see that anymore. They don't have to see that level of poverty and level of dysfunction. But when our children are not meeting minimal standards for human behavior, it's tragic. Because what's happening is that they're denying them early access to public schools. And we don't understand because we don't even, they look at this whole thing like free childcare, boo. And this is a city that has to operate by people who are employed and who need childcare. Instead of developing a better system, oh no, they just squared it off and gave some people something and gave some other people something. And it was just like it's supposed to be all right. And that's just what it was. It was just all right. And I've just got to tell you, when I think enough is enough, because I truly believe enough is enough. But what does that mean? That means that, it's time. The time has come for people, all Americans, to look locally at the public service outcomes. And if there are affected groups, well, create a committee that would target support. But you can't leave the people who are you're designing the support for out of the conversation. That's the problem here. Because that happens continuously. People act like they've been there all the time when something tragic happens, and everybody wants to jump on the ship and participate. And that's with everything in life, that people don't take time for the things that they care about. But the moment they're at risk of losing them, they might want to overinvest. And I'm going to tell you, you live by, what you reap, you also sow. And I have planted good seed, and I have supported many, many people. And I don't have to be chosen to lead. I know how to say, I know I saved my sons. And my sons grew up here in America, but you wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. When I said I was their savior, I was there all the time. And I was blessed to be able to do so, because the blessing came in where I was working for Los Rios Community College. And I was an administrative clerk 3 there. But they did everything to force me to quit, and I didn't quit. I stuck in there. And then one day Chuck Spruce wandered his ass over there, and he terminated me because my boss, Craig Severs, wouldn't do it. But there was another employee in there. It was just a lot of inappropriate things going on. But what I do know is now, looking back on the situation, I was in there with one, two, maybe six huge copy machines, chemicals, or dyes that get into your system. And within 5 years, I had something, chronic pain syndrome. That's what they called it. It was bullshit because Kaiser was all involved in. They all knew what was going on with me, and they pretended as if it wasn't really happening. So they gave me carpal tunnel surgery immediately, like because my hands were killing me. Couldn't use my hands, but I think that that was happening only in my body. Simply, when you're chemically poisoned, your body does react to it. But when when we have public service providers that have put people at in harm's way, it's time to look at this system and say it's time for change. How is it that we have a mandatory public education system on one hand, and then we don't have the required support in order to prevent to do the mandatory services? I just want to know, because apparently people think that that's okay. And then it is all on one person to make sure that you get it when you're there. Even if you don't know how to read or write or comprehend the King's English, you don't have to know shit. But the expectation is that you will. I promise you will do it. I don't understand what we're waiting on and why we're waiting as a people. April the 15th is fastly approaching. April the 18th, whatever day they've chosen. But every year, when our kids are dropping out of public schools because they're not making it, and we're unable to come to the table and have a conversation because people feel that they don't have to talk to me. Well, guess what? They don't. But understand this: I am a citizen, and I damn sure know what's going on. And as I understand it, they didn't have any of the data under IDEA or the neglected and delinquent or the, whatever. They just didn't have the money. Oh yeah, they didn't have the money because it's not coming back. That's what the deal is. Because they shouldn't have had that money. What they're doing here is criminal. And what they have to do is turn it around. And so I'm going to wait and see. Because, what is always done in the dark comes to the light someday. And this is just a day of reckoning, the way I see it. There are so many other black people that are doing wonderful things, but you're only in your own lane. And I know that. I know where my lane is, and I stay in it. I talk about special education because I know about special education. I talk about public schools because I went to all the governing board meetings that I could ever attend and learn much. But when you don't learn anything when you go to Clark County School Board meetings, that's not something that you're here to learn. I don't know what they're teaching. I don't know what they're modeling, because there are far too many children that are not making it. And when you don't understand what's going on, you just don't. But what's going on here is criminal behavior, simply because it's only criminal because they never followed any of the rules. And the obligation to follow the rules is mandatory by all states. And so just because Nevada got away with it for so long doesn't mean that the ship's going to keep on sailing. It didn't sunk over there somewhere. And it's time to retrieve whatever. All I can really say and really share with you is in the year of 2022, we're coming in new. Because for those of you who don't understand that we all live by one doctrine, that's United States government, USA.gov, where all the data is. And I'm gonna get off of here and in for a minute because I need to go and look and see what Nevada actually did for their data. I know it's already up because when I looked at it the last time, maybe about 3% of the schools had inputted the data, but hey, it's going to be many, many more because they're all going to understand that this is mandatory, boo. You know what mandatory means? It means it going to happen. That's what it means. So I'm going to be up for a while because I have some unrest in my soul. But it's simply because it's time for the conversation. For the youngest and the neediest of the African American population across this nation, where's the services and who's providing them? And yes, we can provide services in our own community, but we have to get ready. And this is a part of the getting ready. Until later, y'all, I'll be back tonight.